Hey everybody, welcome to Garrett's Games. I'm Doug.
And I'm Shelley.
And we are a podcast and video series about board games. Every Sunday we release an audio podcast where we talk about a couple of board games, as well as maybe interview some designers and other things like that. That is a long-running podcast. In fact, we've done it for over 19 years. And we've also just started this video series where we're doing a single board game, talking about it in depth, often having talked about it on the audio podcast. So hopefully you can get a different perspective and see all of that as well. So glad you're along for the ride. Remember to give us a thumbs up and give us a subscription down there. Make sure you subscribe. This week we are talking about, Galactic Cruise. It casts a shadow over Shelley. It's so huge. Yeah.
It's very big.
This is Galactic Cruise from Kinson Key Games, designed by T.K. King, Koltin, Thompson, and Dennis Northcott. Sorry, Dennis. It is for 1 to 4 players, plays in 90 to 150 or more minutes.
Many
and
minutes.
It is, as you can see from the cover, a big box. There's a lot going on in this one. But before we start talking about that, remember, head down to the show notes and check out the extensive list of games that we have that no longer fit on our shelves. We've put aside and now belong on your table. And we've even reduced prices on those. Check them out. Help support the podcast, help support this video series, and get some great games.
Yep.
Either that or patreon.com/GarrettsGames to do that support as well. All right, on to Galactic Cruise. Alright guys, this is going to take a little bit of time, and as you can see, I had to move the camera back right from the start here so that I could get everything in frame. Alright, so there is a lot going on in this game. We are going to be competing galactic cruise lines where we are trying to put on cruises for various different types of people. We have the ones who just want to relax. We have the family people, and of course the adventurous people. All 3 different colors of people over there. We are going to have rockets, the cockpit, and the engine, which we get 1 of each of these at the start. We can have a total of 3 of those, and we are going to be building out our rockets with different modules that appeal to the various different types of clients that we could have. We're going to schedule different galactic cruises that are going to be of different lengths and appeal to different types of people. We are going to do that by going into the middle of the main board and using our workers and placing workers on the various areas to do actions. We have a not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8-page player guide. This is your player aid, which tells you all the various things with the turn structure on the back. And you are going to be playing over 3 years, and you are trying to be the one who is replacing the CEO who's going to be leaving in 3 years' time. Hence the progress track over here, which has 1, 2, and 3 on it. All right. You are going to try to gain your reputation down here. You are going to, of course, score points on the track that's around there. You are going to get agenda cards, which help break rules. You are going to employ technology and use that. You are going to put out cogs, the development cogs, which connect actions or give you the ability to do technology. You are going to have to earn 3 different types of resources: food, oxygen, and fuel, so that you can go on these various cruises. There's a lot going on, people. All right? And so you need money. You need ads, because you got to attract the various people to the thing. So each turn, you are going to choose to do one of 3 things. Primarily, you're going to assign workers. So as Shelley has in front of her, and I'll show you on the board, right here in the middle, that corresponds to where your workers stand, who can be added to with experts. So these experts are off to the side and available to you later on in the game if you wish to purchase them, pay their good salaries.
Which would give you an extra action. However, it's really hard to do.
That is true.
So on the 3 games we played, I've never gotten those players in the game. I want to, but yes. But there's other things you have to do too.
That is true.
Lots of things.
You start the game by everybody choosing one of their development cogs and putting it out here on the board in a spot where these neutral ones are not going to be. And whenever you place on a particular spot that is the first here, you can see that it has a plus reputation. So in this case, Shelley's reputation is going to go up 1. I only have Shelley's stuff out here just so that it doesn't get too muddled out here on the board. The nice thing about this is wherever you put that development cog, you'll notice that these are the various places. And of course, in a 2-player game, you're going to have a dummy player that is blocking a couple of spots. But whenever you place out on a spot where there are actions to take, you're going to be able to do 2 total actions on a turn. But if you have this development cog there and it's in your color, you could, instead of just doing these 2, you could do these 2, or 1 from here and 1 from here for free. All right?
Or I could do 2 from here or 2 from here, even if I want
you can do the same one twice. And so either of these, it's going to be free, and now Shelley would have access to all 4 of these actions. If instead, say this were my color, it were over here, Shelley could place here and then just have to pay that player, if I were blue, me, 0 to 2 coins, depending upon where her reputation lies, to be able to do these actions on her turn.
And if there was the dummy player, I would have to pay the bank.
You have to pay the bank.
So,
Exactly. So what are some of these actions? Well, do you want to talk about
I
a couple here?
I can talk about a few of these.
I should say we are on the introductory side of the board where these actions are paired up specifically. But if you were on the other side of the board, these actions can be put in any order however you want. And that can make for some interesting differences in the game. We talked about that a bit on the podcast.
Right.
So you might want to go back and listen to the audio podcast as we talk more specifically about that. But what are some of those actions, honey?
Well, if you were to come here, which would be a great place to go because you maybe want to get some of these rooms to attract your visitors. And look at the great rooms. Board game convention.
Exactly. Or the holodome.
The paintball. It's just
jet
great
bumpers,
stuff,
right?
Right. So I would just go and I would pick up the couple that I wanted, and it's free to pick them up and put them into my area.
Because these are blueprints. So they're just blueprints that are going to go on the side of your player board.
They're eventually going to go into my rocket.
Exactly.
If I pay to put them in. But I can pick them up now. But I'm like, well, maybe let's see what kind of visitors are coming in.
Got some purple.
Some little cheap purple ones down there, and the orange one's pretty cheap on the bottom. So I'd probably take one that had some orange or some purple, probably. So I would probably take this one and maybe this one.
Okay, so she's got those 2 things.
So I'd put those 2 because it says here that I can take 2. Now I could take 2 more, or since I don't have my cog over here, I could also do this one, which is pay $1 to get 2 resources of my choice.
Those are two resources from the silo that is the company's silo of stuff. Oh no, sorry,
No, this is to any of my choice.
I apologize, that's wrong. To any two of her choice.
And then I could pay another $1 to get 2 advertisings as well.
Okay,
which
so
I probably would do
anything,
because I have money, so I would do that.
Yeah, so 2 and 2, so she could pay $2.
If I was poor, maybe I'd take 2, another 2 of those.
Money is tight in this game.
Very tight,
right?
very tight.
Okay.
So that's a great one I could stand in. Let's say
you go down over here.
I mean, say I went down here. I would bump this other player up
you
here.
Go forward clockwise.
I cannot bump myself unless I have special powers, which we can talk about later. But so if I came here, then it's saying I want to build those 2, which means I would have to have the funds to do so. And this one is not too expensive. It's just 3. Just 3. Sometimes they're as cheap as 1, so that's nice. But these are worth 3. 3 cost 3. So I would pay that. Hopefully, I would have enough to do 2.
Okay,
if I didn't, I could pay. I could just build 1.
Notice there's a nice little tray here for the money, and you split open the rocket and put in the holodome, and that goes in there.
Right.
And now it goes in face up. Instead of the blueprint, you turn it over, and it is there saying what different types of guests are going to want to be there, as well as the end game victory points. So anything in that purple there over on the side, this is going to be worth 1 victory point at the end of the game, regardless.
And this one's the rocket build, so I can take a free rocket from over here. I take a base and a top, and the base gives you certain goods. So this one's like, oh, you can get some free advertisement or some money. They give you good things.
This is 3 victory points and an ad immediately. So the engines give you an immediate benefit.
And then the tops are things that you're going to be working on when you launch your rocket, as well as at the end of the game.
Yes. If you don't launch a rocket, you'll notice this says -5. That's because it's -5 points if you never launch a rocket that you've got. This also then gives you, during game, whenever you launch, and end game scoring as well. We'll talk about this because this is...
So the end game scoring will happen regardless of your ability to launch. So it is powerful to get them, because they might help you in many ways scoring. Like maybe they're going to score for the number of cogs you get out here. Maybe they're going to score for, just so many different
so this one, for example, it would score 5 points for every rocket, and you can only have 3, for every rocket that's worth at least 8 points for its various parts, all right? So Shelley wouldn't be heading in the right direction here, because this one is only worth 1 point for that particular module. But if you get them worth 8, then you're going to get more points for that. So you're looking at both, these combos, which just come out randomly, to see which ones you want. And of course, you start the game with one that gives you your starting stuff, the money and the ads and so on like that, as well as gives you 1 point for every module on all of your rockets. All right? So that's there. All right.
And basically, if you're maybe I could have put both of these pieces in here. And then I could, once I have all the supplies I need, which is going to take me a bit of time to do, I could then put 1 person here in this case, because the rocket is not very large.
So you can see that as these come together, it has then a space for a guest right there with the merging of those two. No rocket, unless you have a card or you get a special power, no rocket can be bigger than 3 modules along with cockpit and engine. So a total of 5 cardboard pieces, and you can have no more than 3 rockets, as I said. So 3 is the key for that.
And so there's lots of different things. There's ones here where you can build you can make to build your cogs. You can do that here.
Right. So that would be 5 or 6 or 7
Very
in either
expensive.
money plus the resource that cog is, the line that it's on, either food or oxygen or fuel. Right. This is where you can build an expert. Get one of those experts here, and they cost here 3 for every token that is still left in this area, or 2 for every cog that is still left in the top 2 areas. So at the beginning of the game, it's going to cost you 9 or it's like 12 or $10 to be able to
that'd be very, very
to
hard
be able to build and get that expert.
So I wonder if maybe that is a way to start the game, because you'd have more actions. But you know, it isn't a strategy we've done yet. But I'm curious about that.
This is getting those agenda cards. All right, so take 2 agenda cards, and you don't automatically refill. These have both a good bit of information. You can use the written information, which breaks a rule or gives you some type of modification, or use it just for the resource that is at the bottom.
And they're pretty powerful.
These don't refill. They only refill in this area right here, which is you get the resources that are uncovered. So in this case, you would get the reputation, as well as an ad. Then you flush all of them and put new ones out. So that's what this one is. Over here, remember I referred to it mistakenly over here. This is the silo where the company has already purchased resources, and there's 2 available of each at the beginning of the game. This allows you to take any 3, or, you know, as these move down, say I took 2 food and an oxygen, on that turn or a subsequent turn, I could get rid of an agenda card. And by the way, you start with 1.
Yeah.
Get rid of an agenda card so that I could bump something all the way up. And however many spaces I go, I get that much in money. Great thing, because you need money,
and it's hard to get money. And
also a reputation, because everybody's happy because I've bumped these things up.
Because if I go there next, I'm going to be able to get those good resources, which as long as I have a space to store them. Okay.
Yes. The last 2 things here, notice those 12 different actions that you can possibly choose from. One of them is scheduling a cruise. That would mean taking your scheduling token over here from the top and putting it next to one of the 4 cruises in a 2-player game, and more. These would be revealed in more players. So you place next to that particular one, and then you get to choose. There's these square cardboard tokens over here, 4 of which relate to another possible action, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah. And then the other 4 give you a better benefit, but are a one-time benefit. So for example, this one, if I go here, I could choose to immediately take $4. Whichever one I choose. Or, you know, maybe it's I take 4 resources. Or if I take one of these top ones, it's take a single buck. All right? Whenever I do that, I flip this over. And the reason I do that is that these tokens, now flipped over, become something that goes on the cruise that you have scheduled once you blast off and launch. All right? So that, say Shelley took $4, that is now flipped over. That's her scheduling of a cruise. But then the other thing that she can do is look at this cruise that she's scheduled, or any of them, actually. She can do any of this and take the various possible clients and place them on the cruise. So like preloading the cruise. She happens to have 2 ads. Any client that's in this lower area is going to cost 1 ad. In this middle area, 2 ads per client. And up in this upper area, 3 ads per client. Well, Shelley has a teal and a purple. Well, this purple one, these 2 purple ones look really good.
Yeah, those would be great.
So you can have no more, you can take no more than 2. It would cost her the 2 ads, and then she would place them in the cruise that she had scheduled here. All right? And then for each of the ones that she places, she's going to get $1. And she is going to then get a reputation as long as the color that she chose is represented in the cruise that she's got. So $1 and reputation, she's going to get 2 bumps in reputation as well as $2 by spending these 2 ads and doing that.
And if I didn't have those ads, I just wouldn't take any people at that time.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Right. Okay. Right. So those are the actions that you've got. Now, as Shelley's going along, so she's got her guys out here, at some point, like in this case, she is going to be done.
I don't have
she
any
doesn't
more
have any in the
actions
break
I can do
room
because I
ready
have
to
no
go.
people over here.
Exactly.
And I haven't paid to get these out yet.
She's going to have to call a meeting, pulling her guys off the board, placing them back here on the board, and you'll notice, I'll use this one, that there's a little hand like reaching out like this. Whenever you bring one of your guys back because you call a meeting, then you get one of these resources that are over here. Now they start with tokens in them that I was talking about, and it's $1 or an ad or a victory point or a resource. If you reveal these every time you do a call a meeting, you can get 2 of one of those things if you've taken that token as one of your launch things, all right? So Shelley gets to call, maybe she's like, she had gotten rid of those 2 ads. She's like, I'm going to need those ads. So she takes 2 ads because she has brought her 2 guys back.
Yep.
Along with that, she gets to do any action that is next to, on either side of, the cogs, the development cogs that she has. So she could do any of these 4 actions as the second half of her calling a meeting turn, all right? So for example, she's going to be launching a rocket. She's looking at this rocket and she's saying, this rocket is going to need 4
lot
fuel.
Of fuel.
And if I were going to put these 2 guys on, I'm going to need to build out, and I'm going to need to have 3 modules, which means for each module, you need to have an oxygen. So she's going to need 3 oxygen, as well as 3 food, because she has to feed each of the people plus the pilot, all right?
And then right now, I don't have that. And also, I can't even get 3 oxygen or 3 fuel because I haven't even removed these cogs to make that happen.
Exactly.
So I would have to use my reputation by going backwards.
Right, because on the bottom of the reputation track, you can at any point go backwards on the reputation, and any resource or anything, any one thing, money or ads or resources that you pass, you only get one of those. So if Shelley were up here, notice here's resource, she could go back 1, 2, 3 and add resources. She actually really can't do that because she doesn't have space. So she could instead throw in this card, for example, for the fuel, or even better, say she could build this a development cog in these areas so that all launches would require 1 fewer fuel, or all launches would require 1 fewer food.
Which is great, but then it means that I'm not going to be able to have those actions as easily. I'm not going to be connected to as many things out here. Yes. So it's quite a challenging balancing act. Right?
Definitely, right. So that is the other turn where you're using your workers. The third thing that you can do on a turn, and let's say she had built her rocket up here, all right, is launch a rocket, all right?
So I would take my piece, and that means I'm going to have to be able to launch it based on
you got to have all the stuff in place.
Which does take a long time.
So it's T-5, and you're going to do it. It's very nicely organized. You're going to count down and do all of the steps over here on the left of your turn. I'm going to put this out here so you can see what it is. So let me do that. So T-5 is take all the stuff over here. So she returns her scheduler. She takes the trip and puts it at the top of her rocket. Mm-hmm. And she puts the people that are on there into this. Now, she could, if she hadn't gotten the people on there, if she had those ads, she could get those people real quick. But she doesn't get that extra bonus of the reputation and the money, which you get when you put them over there earlier. So she's done that. Then she moves up and she takes one of her progress cubes and puts it out here in the next empty spot, showing that we are progressing the game. All right. I should have put these. This is the one thing that I forgot to put out there. Okay. Then we go up here, and then she spends the fuel, the oxygen, and the food that she had already accumulated. So that would probably boom down to 0. She would need at least 3 of each and 4 fuel to get this one to go. Sure. Then she flips over her cockpit. Okay.
No longer negative.
And scores what this is, which in this case is a point for every module, which so she'd get 1, 2, 3 points. So that would be 3 points there. And then she goes up here. She takes that token that she had turned over when she scheduled a cruise, puts it at the bottom of her rocket, and then this guy now becomes, boom, the pilot for that cruise.
Yep.
All right. Now, going forward, at the beginning of each of Shelley's turns, the first thing that she's going to do is fly her rocket. And that means going on all of these little steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get before she gets back home. And
that's many actions.
Exactly.
That's going to be in the air, right?
So she's going to first go to this first spot, which is flying through space. For those of you who have been on a cruise here on the water, an ocean cruise, you know that's an ocean day. So you're out on the water. So if you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your colors here, and you're going to see that they're going to have stuff to do because she has a rocket that appeals to these purple, relaxing people. So she's got 1, 2 purple people and 1, 2, 3 possible options that she's going to be able to do, or that they're going to be able to do on that rocket. And that means 2 times 3, 6. Well, these are what she gets over here at the top. This is random every time. She's going to get 6 reputation by having those purple guys over here
huge.
and appealing to what they want to do. So open space days give you this stuff.
And they don't cost you anything.
Right.
You've already got
it was because this also has teal on it, if she had a teal person, she would have gotten a victory point for every appeal that she had for the teal people. And then she moves on. The next round, she moves on to this orange one. And what the best way to do this is take your guys off. They've just gone to an orange activities planet.
They went off the ship, right?
Yes. Now this allows you to possibly put out that token that was at the bottom of the rocket. These give you upgrades of some kind.
They're very good.
So for example, the orange ones are making it so that you can get rid of one of those tokens so that you have the more valuable stuff. But because this is purple and this is an orange planet, it's going to cost more in ads. Yes, you got to use ads. It's going to cost more in ads to get this stuff. So maybe she says, you know what? I'm not going to bother with that. Or maybe she has a ton of ads and she's like, I'm definitely going to do that. So I'm going to spend 4 ads and get 3 points for each of the guys, because I don't want the upgrade to go there. All right. So she spends the 4 ads, they come back on the rocket, and then she gets to do her turn. She gets to do an action.
I could be pulling my people off. I mean, all the things that you could do.
Exactly.
Placing out here. Yeah.
The next round, now she's going to a purple planet. All right. Purple planet. This is where she wants to go because, first of all, she can put this out and maybe she sees a really good thing. So this is whenever you go back in whenever you advance in reputation, you get the stuff. No, sorry, you get an extra reputation. Okay. This is all of your normal little guys count as experts. Well, maybe whenever we advance, we're going to get an extra reputation. That sounds like a pretty good thing. Now, this gives me an extra victory point. So because the planet is purple, matching the color of the guests, they are only going to have to spend 1 ad per guest to get 3 plus 1, 4 victory points now on this purple planet. That's probably what Shelley would wind up doing. Really good. Then she has another space, and then she gets home, and then this guy goes over here, and you get those little bonuses again. Mm-hmm. So those are the primary actions as we go forward. You also have, at the beginning of the game, company goals that are specified. Now, in the non-basic game, there are different ones, and you put these out. In a 2-player game, they start at the middle level, and these are goals. So, for example, this is building 6 or 7, if you're the second person to do it, of those development cogs. Wow. This is having sets of all 3 of the adventure, relaxing, and family client tokens on your spaceships. All right, and then this one is that you have those upgrade tokens, the ones that give you the extra points, on 2 or 3 of the different planets. When you get to do that, you get to send one of your tokens. So say Shelley was able to get a bunch of cogs built. First of all, she makes it harder for me to do it. I'm going to have one more. And she gets to put now one of these cubes, the progress cubes, up and reveals these little wings. Because when ultimately these fill up, so this probably wouldn't happen unless I'm playing really badly.
It might happen for me, but not for you.
No. You look at, we stop the round after this happens, and we look to see how many cubes are there, and we multiply that by the number of these little wing symbols that have been revealed. So in this case, Shelley would get 3 times 2, 6 points for this situation. In fact, maybe even better, because if she were ahead in reputation, you get a ghost cube. So it's like she's got 4 cubes instead of just 3. 4 times 2, she's going to get 8 points over there. All right. So this is one of the determinants as we move forward for how things proceed. This is in a 2-player game, and each one of these is different depending upon the number of players. This also tells me that I am going to have to replace these one of these little workers with an expert, as well as put 3 of the Phantom players' cogs out here, and so that makes it more expensive. If you don't have your cog in, then you're going to have to pay to do actions in a spot where you don't stand. You keep on going. There you have a 2nd year and a 3rd year, and that's the way the game goes. You're refilling over here, making sure... Oh, I should say that as you refill, when this happens, you put this out and you look at what we've got. This one that I've just gotten out has the adventure guys, the orange guys. All of them are going to move down. Okay? And then you, for however many guys were on the ship that launched, which in this case, 2 of these adventure guys, because it's only adventure guys, are going to come out here. So we've just made things a bit different in terms of what clients are available and how much they cost.
It is possible that you might not have all the colors there.
That is true.
We've had that.
Whew. That's a lot, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot. You want to know what I thought of this one?
I do want to know what you thought of this one.
I love this side of the board.
This
side of the board. That's it. Flip it over and I'm like, oh, my head hurts too much. This is a really hard game.
It is. It's a very challenging game.
But when you were using the introductory board, don't think it's easy. Just think of it as it's going to be easier than the other side, obviously. But the actions work together very nicely on this side of the board.
Yes.
It's much more complicated on the other side when these things maybe you're doing something that's random. I don't know. It's much harder.
Yeah.
The other side of the board.
When for example, on this side of the board, these 2 actions
are
together.
They work together.
The scheduling and then putting out people. Well, if these are one's way up here
and I don't have
one's
a cog
over
to get
here,
both.
You can't do both in the same turn. So you can schedule, but then you're going to have to do a different turn to get those guys into your scheduled thing.
And say you schedule, and then you're going to wait till your next turn, and then the other person takes the people at the price that they can afford, obviously. And then you can't afford to get these people, or then you had to work getting more ads, and it just pushes you back in terms of everything.
And once you've scheduled, that is the one that you're going to launch. So I mean, sure, you could put guys into other spots
to get the benefits of
exactly, to get the benefits of the money and the reputation. Yeah. But you're not going to be able to launch a different one of the cruises because the one you've scheduled is the one that's going. All right. So yeah, that can be a little painful. Also, these things change.
Oh yeah,
right?
Everything changes.
So that can be different, and the company goals change as well. So I understand your point there, Shelley.
So for me, like for it to be a comfortable game that I would enjoy a lot, this side is great for me. And I think because it works together better, it's more it doesn't take me as long for my actions, right? Even though when we did it as the first play, it took a long time to play.
Well, yeah, our first play was
With the
an
rules.
hour to learn and then 3 hours to
play.
Our second play, we got in under 2 hours.
Under 2 hours.
Yeah, and that was playing on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
And what was interesting then in our third play is we again mixed up and randomized the actions.
Right.
And that second play, the actions, even though they were randomized, there was still some synergy that was happening. So we were able to get those actions to work together better. With that third play, that things were on different sides, and Shelley was just like,
my head kind of exploded a little bit. It really did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
It's very challenging, the other side of the board, for me.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
And
this side is challenging too.
Yeah. Well, what we did say on the podcast, and then I think it's appropriate for us to say here, is this is a game that I enjoyed.
Yes.
I'm glad I played it.
Yes.
And so I have no regrets about that.
No.
But I don't need to play it again because
we had fun
I would
with
have
it.
to completely relearn everything.
Yeah, if we were to play it again today, it would be fine.
Yes.
But wait a month and we'd be like, oh, we have to relearn it all.
Exactly.
And it would be pretty hefty, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you talked about just the player aid, but really the book itself is...
So that's the player aid.
Yeah, but look at the...
You mean the manual that is...
How many pages is that?
Okay, so it's 48 pages.
And you said it is one of the best rules you've seen.
It is a great set of rules.
Yeah.
But 35 of them are what you need for to get through the 2-player stuff. So 35 pages of rules. Great, well-written rule set. So I can't fault them in any way. Because it really covers it well. But then, there's even the supplement that you may need to refer to as well. And they've even left spaces for further expansions. That they
and there are other expansions already that have come out for this, right?
But there is, references here for the base game and stuff like that. One of the things that we forgot to cover was, these experts, when they come on the board, they have a little bit of extra power, where in the intro game, that bumping that we talked about, whenever you bump someone off, they come back to that player's board, whoever owns them, and they get their little bonus. Remember, we talked about
So they're happy about that.
So they're very happy, and they get to now do
bumped,
that. Yeah. But when this happens, you can, I think you can bump yourself, or no, you get to whatever the resource is, get one of the resources, and as well as
it depends on the card that's here.
Yeah,
right?
and a token or a cardboard spot so experts can have different abilities. So like one of them was if you have an expert, they don't have to pay for the actions, that even if their cogs aren't there. Another one that we didn't use that I thought was interesting was if you had a chain of cogs, you could go all the way around and do whatever you had your cog connected through. As long as it was an unbroken chain, you could do any action that cog chain is connected to. So this is a deep game.
It is an amazing game.
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
It is a hard game.
For sure.
So that's Galactic Cruise. Again, this is from Kinson Key Games. TK King, Koltin, Thompson, and Dennis Northcott are the designers. 90 to 150 or more minutes, and for 1 to 4 players. Big game, awesome design, great rule book, and if you like heavy, crunchy games, this is definitely for you.
Yeah, this one's for you.
All right. That'll do it for this week. Hope you guys are doing well. Remember, down in the show notes, check out that extensive list of games that no longer fit on our shelves, that belong on your table, that are at great prices, and you help us out at the podcast here. Have a great one. Take care. See you later. Bye.